Hey everyone, I'm here with a very special guest today. This is Robert Williams. He completed his first wholesale deal, made $20,000 on it. And Robert's not too far away from the office, so wanted him to come down today, visit the headquarters, and really talk about what it's like being in this program and do a deal breakdown. I think it's a fascinating thing to break down a deal. I think it's one of the most important things if you're starting out wholesaling, fixing and flipping, to learn what it really takes to do a deal. This was Robert's first deal that he did and was able to pocket $20,000 on it, and just really want to show what's possible. So, Robert, thanks for coming in, man.
Yeah, of course. It's an honor to be here. Honor to be here for sure.
Awesome, man. So let's dive into the start of it, right? Where were you before joining the program? I assume you haven't done any real estate deals before the program. Assume haven't done any wholesales before that, fix and flips, and you found us online somewhere possibly, and probably wanted a change in your life for one reason or another. So where were you at before the program?
So I was working a job that for lack of a better term, I hated, and so it was right around the time that let's backtrack. So I'm heavily into the automotive space. So I've been doing that since I graduated high school. So I graduated back in 2015, went off to Texas, went to a trade school. I learned 3 different trades within the automotive space. So it was mobile electronics, it was fabrication, and then it was upholstery. Mm-hmm. And so I left that MECP certified, which stands for Mobile Electronics Certified Professional. Came back, got a job, and I was in that space for, I would want to say, from 2015 to about 2021 or so. Mm-hmm. Left that, and then I went to a dealer where I became a advisor, right? So still in the same space, just I wasn't working on the cars. I was more or less helping the dealership serve them or service them, for lack of a better term. And so I did that for about a year, and then I left, and then that's when I moved to San Diego. And then I came out here and I got a job, and it was at another dealership, but I was installing like alarms. And so then I did that for a couple months. I left that. And then I started working, ironically, it's funny. I started working in homes, right? So it was like multi-million-dollar homes I was working in. I was installing like various things between like security systems, alarms, like audio systems, things of that nature. And then left that, and then I went back to Northern California, right? And then I got a job out there, and I was a service advisor, but it was more or less outside of the retail side. So I was working for a company where they had vehicles, and I was servicing them, and I was basically anything that they needed, I was doing, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. And then that was a job that was the turning point for me, right? Because I was like, okay, well, because I've always wanted to own my own business, right? I've always wanted more for my life, mm-hmm. and so I got that when I was in that job. I was like, this can't be the end all be all. Like I'm just tired of working from somebody else, right? By their set of rules, and like even when there's things that you don't necessarily agree with, can't do anything. You got to listen to them, right? So it was like, that was a turning point for me. And so about a year ago, I did a program. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, 75 Hard.
Yeah.
So I did that program. And one of the things in that program is you have to read 10 pages of a nonfictional book, mm-hmm. right? And so again, 75 days, Kent 75 Hard. Mm-hmm. And I went through, I want to say 8 books or so, something like that. One of the books that I read was Rich Dad Poor Dad, right? And that was actually one of the last books I read before the program was done. So I there was a couple books I read that was on the mindset, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And so then I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and one of the things that he talks about is real estate. And so but the whole book itself like just changed everything for me, right? Mm-hmm. Everything. I don't want to be cliche and say, oh, like the book changed my life, but it literally did, right? That's the only reason why I'm here talking to you. Yeah. Read the book, and it just had me looking at things differently. And I was working a job that I hated. I was trying to figure out something that I wanted to do. And one of the things that I realized about me is, and I feel like everybody can relate to it, is when you get something new, it's always exciting at first, right? It's like getting a new car. You get a new car, and it's like, oh, I want to drive it like the first day, right? Yeah. Or it doesn't matter what it is. Brand new pair of shoes, like, oh, I want to wear these shoes, right? But as time goes on, it gets a little less exciting, right? And so relating that back to real estate, I found real estate. I found something that I wanted to do, which was investing, wholesaling, and then getting into fixing, flipping. But I knew that given my situation, that I was in that I didn't like, I didn't want to jump in something based off emotion. Mm-hmm. So I found real estate back in February, realized I wanted to do it, and I waited a month. Because I wanted to see, like, is this something I really want to do? Is this, or is it something that, like, is my scapegoat that I want to, like, get out of my current situation? Right. And so waited a month. I was looking at videos online because before I even made the jump, I knew it was wholesaling I wanted to get into. So, like, how do I get into real estate with no money? Yeah. Like, I need to figure out how to do this because everybody knows, right? Real estate, it takes, capital. Yep. So I was like, how do I get into it with no money? So I researched wholesaling. Mm-hmm. And then that's when one of your videos popped up, and I started watching it. I probably watched it maybe like 2 to 3 times, cool. Right? Different videos. And then a month flew by, and I was like, okay, I'm ready to do this. It's been quite the journey, but no regrets for sure.
That's good. That's good, man. I want to say Rich Dad Poor Dad was one of those books for me too that changed my life and changed my viewpoint. And then smart move on, hey, honeymoon phase, real estate. Am I actually interested in this? Like checking yourself, that self-awareness, I think super important. And then thanks for shouting out the YouTube videos too. Yeah, no, watch it 2-3 times. I give away the farm. I give away as much as I can on there.
Well, so what's funny? What led me to your videos and like really like drove me in was like the authenticity. Mm-hmm. I'm a content creator myself. Yeah. So I'm heavily into the automotive space. I'm a car guy at heart, right? It's my life. I film cars, right? So one of the things I try to really dial in on and like really, be like the center of everything is authenticity. Mm-hmm. And like really showing like this is me, right? And like not trying to like put up a front. Yeah. And so when I saw your videos, I kind of saw that. Like I saw like the authenticity in it, and I was like, okay, like I can relate to that. And then that's pretty much how I got into it.
I appreciate it. Probably maybe like a whiteboard video of mine, you think? Okay. Yeah. I'm talking for an hour straight, so I can't, it's me on there. I can't fake it. Now, that being in the car industry or having like knowledge of the car industry, knowledge of, hey, you could fix up a car and resell it and make a profit. Did that understanding help you with real estate too? Of like, hey, this is just like a bigger type of transaction. There's just more zeros onto it, but you can obviously fix up a house, resell it. Did that kind of make wholesaling make sense for you and more believable too?
That's exactly why. So that's why that was one of the reasons why I decided to get into real estate, because I was like, this is me fixing. Obviously, it started off as wholesaling to get to build a capital, right? To get into fixing and flipping. So my mindset was like, this is literally just a car. It's just like, again, more zeros. Obviously, it's not, you can't move, but it's basically the same sense, right? You get a house, you fix it up, and then you keep it, you rent it out, or you sell it. Yeah. Right, so that was pretty much my mindset around it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so the fundamentals were the same. That's awesome. I know this is about you, but what's pretty funny, when I was, I think, 16 years old, I worked for an automotive accessory car shop, and that's where I used to just cold call all the time for that company, and it's kind of where I got like my start, just calling people and convincing them to work with me one way or another, and then got into real estate a few years later. All right, so that's pretty cool, right? And you wanted to be your own boss. You saw wholesaling. You saw our videos, and then you decide to enroll into this program, our Real Estate Skills Pro Wholesaler program. Why this program? Was it just the authenticity? Was the MLS appealing to you at all, getting on-market deals or on-market deals into off-market deals? Anything specific on that front? Or was it just, hey, I need a trusted source to learn wholesaling from, and maybe you trusted us the most?
I think it was authenticity, right? So that was one thing. Another thing is once you start like researching wholesaling, that's when you kind of go down the rabbit hole of like different ways of doing it. Mm-hmm. And I did see like some people like advertise like, hey, like I can show you how to like wholesale off market deals, right? But then I realized like that requires money. My whole point was to get into it without any money, right? And so that was like my biggest thing for sure, because there were other videos that I saw, of course, online, right? But again, it's like, coming from and again, I'm not sure if that was like your whole like thing around it, but me being a content creator, like I could see like other things when it comes to content, right? Like when I'm looking at a video, I can see like, I'm not gonna say I know a person based off a video, but you can kind of like gauge, like, and that, I think that was my biggest thing. Like I saw your video, I was like, hey, like this guy's pretty cool. Like he's not all in your face, yelling, screaming by his course. He's teaching you, he's providing value, and then he's telling you where you can go to get more value, right? That was like my biggest thing. And so that's like what drove me.
Okay, cool. You're probably thinking like, man, if I got to listen to more videos from this guy, I got to somewhat like him. I got to like the way he teaches. So
yeah, no, it was like I said, no regrets, man. The program taught me everything. I remember when I finished the program, I was like, this is literally the best thing I've ever seen. Like everything is so it's put together so well that it literally tells you everything that you need to know, right? Like with that program, I mean, I'm kind of proof, right? I had no real estate background. I had none. Yeah. I knew nothing about real estate. Went through the program, and it led me to my first deal.
And I'm glad you say that because that program, it took a long time for me to create, probably a year and a half. Yeah, a lot of sacrifice went into it. But the thinking was if I have to be able to teach someone that doesn't know anything about real estate, but also make it appealing for someone that knows about real estate already is kind of difficult. Yeah. But obviously, you went through it. You're able to learn. But the learning aspect, I think, is so important. I think a lot of people, like you can go on YouTube, right? You can get all these different pieces of information. This segment here. Now you know about off-market. Now you know about on-market. Now you know about assignments. Now you know about double close. But like a lot of times, people don't actually get closer to their goals of actually closing a deal. That's the most important thing. I don't want you to come in the program and not close a deal. I want you close a deal and make money and close more deals and start doing it consistently and change your life and be your own boss. You know, enrolling in the program, the whole intention is like, I need to teach you everything, but we also got to help you take action and you got to take action towards your goals. And I think a lot of people try and shortcut that, or they don't go through a program, whether it's my program or another program, and then they start taking action, but they don't know step, C from D or whatever it is. And so it sounds like, as we were talking a little bit before this, you went through the whole program first, right? You're in the Philippines, having fun, celebrating your birthday. But you went through the whole program first, and maybe that gave you the confidence now, like, to take action. Now that you kind of maybe knew everything, you knew the whole process.
I watched a couple videos, a couple courses, I went through it, and just like anybody, I was like, hey, I can do this while I watch, right? Like, why not? Like, I got two birds in one stone. But then, like, I kind of reverted back to my mindset when I joined, but right before I joined, because my thing is, it's like, I could do this without being taught it, but like, it's just going to take longer, right? I'm gonna make 10 times more mistakes, right? I can avoid those mistakes if I just get taught right the first time. Yeah. Right. And so went through a couple courses, and again, I was going to jump right in, but then I was like, you know what, let me get the knowledge first, because I could run into something that I could have avoided, right? Run into a problem that, I don't know, potentially like blew up a deal, whatever. I could have avoided it if I just went through the courses and learned how to like deal with that, you know? So that was my thing as to like why I went through the courses first, and then I, went all in on it. So
good. That's always my recommendation. Anyone who comes in, I say go through the whole thing first. Don't hang on every single word, but at least have knowledge of where you're going to be going. Just like you said, you're going to get caught up. You're going to make mistakes if you don't do that. And right, I believe anyone has the power and knowledge to be able to wholesale. What my goal for you is just, I'm going to help you do it faster and easier and have less mistakes, and then also not leave money on the table. Maybe there's going to be some harder deals, and let's help you navigate those waters so you can actually monetize it, as opposed to like we were talking about earlier, like some people have one little thing of adversity and then they're like, this deal's done. And this deal that you did, now your first deal, let's talk about, you obviously face adversity with it, and that's why I wanted to talk about this deal too, because there's a lot of deals that you have adversity on. Not every single one, everything fits right into order and is a very simple close. And I'll just say right now, like, this isn't necessarily easy. I think it's simple, but it's not going to be easy. And one of the most important things, I think, from going through the program, and obviously you already have a really strong mindset, but that's why I talk about mindset in the beginning of the program. Yeah. And we're talking about earlier, like the know-how, the knowledge is 20% of it, but the 80% is going to be the mindset of like, when you don't want to send an offer a day, are you still going to actually do that, even though you emotionally don't want to? When they say, hey, we got to double close as opposed to assign it, are you going to just, go radio silent and not actually do what you need to do to close the deal? And so, having that right mindset, I think, is an integral part of not just wholesaling, but any entrepreneur. And that's going to be valuable for you wherever you go in life as well. But for this particular deal, let's talk about how you found it. Because this path is something, it's basically the path of one of the ways to get deals by, focusing on market. It ended up being an off market deal, but this is how on market leads to off. So if you can talk about first how you found this one.
Yeah, no, for sure. So I found this deal from an on-market deal that I reached out to. From an agent, correct. So I have access to the MLS. Nice. It's amazing. Yeah, I tried doing Redfin, and I'm just like, MLS is better. Well, I mean, obviously you can still do it on MLS or on Redfin, right? Not saying you can't, but MLS, it gives you those agent remarks, so it helps a lot. Yeah. So for better detail, I believe it was on a Sunday actually. I went out to this property that I found on market for my agent. And
so you called the agent, you found the property for sale, it was on the market, you called the agent on a Sunday?
Correct, yeah. So it was it might have been a Saturday. So it was Saturday, found the property on market, called the agent, and he was like, yeah, I'm going to be doing a open house tomorrow, which was on a Sunday. He was like, come through, look at it. And, this was a little bit, I was a little into, calling agents and like putting out deals. So I was like, do I really want to go? Because, you don't want to waste your time because, it's one of those things. So I ended up going. I was like, I'm going to just go, whatever. It's like down the street from me. So I went, met him there, the agent there. And he was cool, went to the house, looked at it. Long story short, we agreed on a price. And so we got in contract. And literally right before I was going to close on that house, the agent calls me. Or excuse me, right when I was going to assign it to the end buyer, agent calls me and says, hey, we have a problem. The house was put in a trust. We're going to put it on hold for, long story short. And so then he was like, but I have this house that I'm going to potentially be selling off market, in the next couple of weeks or so. Friend whose dad passed away, they're going to want to sell a house, all that stuff. So then I would say about a month or two went by because of the fact that the father passed away. They wanted to get stuff out of the house and it was sentimental to them. So being patient. And so I remember he texted me and he was like, hey, I finally got that Summit. It's on Summit. So we got it. So he was like, hey, I got someone under contract, right? Meaning with him, like he was going to be the agent to list it. And so I was like, great. So let's like get the ball rolling, right? And so then I remember we put an offer out. And again, this particular house, the seller had 3 other offers before I stepped in. So one of the neighbors offered her like $100K. One investor offered her like $180, and then one investor offered her like $190, I believe, or so. And the seller only wanted $200, but I don't think the investors knew that. And so I came in, I gave her $210, right? And again, we were able to make it happen. But yeah, man, on market deal led me to an off market deal. Perfect. And yeah, just it was amazing.
So yeah, you're reaching out actively to on market deals, and I think what a lot of people don't realize is if an agent is listing a distressed house on the market, they found that distressed house one way or another. They're probably good at finding distressed houses, and they may have other distressed houses that they know about. And every house before it's on the market is off the market. So in this case, yeah, you talked to an on-market agent who has a deal, and they told you about this off-market one. Did you even have to ask about it? Did you ask if he had other deals, or he just brought it up?
I can't remember.
Either it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly. I may have asked. If not, he might have told me, because of the fact that the original house that was put on hold at the time, we had a place on hold. So he might have mentioned it, or I might have asked. I can't directly remember. Yeah. Then that agent is my friend to this day. Perfect. Right. Met him at the property, and ever since then, like we talk. Yeah. About business, about personal. So it's cool, man. Definitely a friendship that I value.
So with this deal, right, I think another important thing is you had a relationship with the agent. This is part of why working with agents and on the market is so important, is sometimes you can get a little bit of inside information that helps you close a deal. You may know where the seller wants or where their ideal offer is. And if that works with your numbers, you can offer that or even a little bit above it and make the deal happen. And that's going to give you confidence, certainty that you can close a deal. In this case, that allowed you to close the deal. And so, right, you offered 210, they accepted it. Now what happened? And I guess what were the closing terms on this? Did you have like a closing time frame that you wanted to close it within?
Yeah, no, that's actually a good point. So because of it was off market and the seller's dad passed away again, it was sentimental. And so one of the incentives that I gave the agent to give to the seller was, hey, like, I understand that it's sentimental to her, but let's just get in contract. We can have a 30-day close. because her whole thing was she wanted to get in the house and get some stuff out.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm like, okay, I need to lock this in. Like I can't like just have it floating in the air. Right. And so I was like, let's get in contract. I'll give her a 30-day close, which gives her plenty of time to get in there, get, stuff out of the house. In the meantime, we can get like the paperwork going.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so that ended up going. She ended up taking it. So we got in contract. We actually ended up closing sooner than 30 days.
Cool.
Right. Now, the terms was, 30-day close, 7-day inspection. That was pretty much it.
Yeah.
Right. And as far as like the end buyer, so I had a couple end buyers lined up. I sent it out to 3. All 3 were interested, but 2 of them tried to negotiate the price and 1 just accepted the price. Right. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, well, obviously, So it's the key thing with that though is making sure that you maintain. At least for me, I made sure that I maintained those relationships, right? Yeah. Just because I didn't assign it to the other 2 doesn't mean that I'm going to blow them off or like not respond, right? It's like, hey, in contract with this property now, but if things don't work out, I'll let you know, right? It's just like basically giving them an update, even though like they're not buying it, right? Because I want to make sure I maintain like that relationship. So everything worked out. Sure. Yeah.
So you found those buyers first before ever finding the deal, right?
Correct. Yes.
Good job. How'd you go about finding those buyers?
So I did the Google Ninja trick, and then I also found some on Facebook Marketplace, Marketplace, Facebook, like the groups and stuff like that. Yeah.
And you found 3 good ones that were obviously responsive, serious people. Yep. Okay, so first off, right there, that like great job doing that, because most people would do all of these steps and then not find the buyer until they get under contract, and then they lose out on a lot of deals that way. Yeah. So good job doing that. All 3 of them wanted it, so you vetted. Right, part of what we do is we find their buying criteria and make sure it's a deal that they actually want. You obviously did that. They all 3 wanted it, and then when you sent it to 3, 2 were negotiating on price. 1 was going to take at the price that you wanted. So easy, no-brainer to work with that one. Great job. You made your life easier.
Yeah. I think the reason why I could be wrong, but I think the reason why the other 2 was trying to negotiate is because they knew it was off market. Yeah. And at least from my experience, and I could be wrong, but they might have wanted it at a higher like ROI because of the fact that it was off market. There were no eyes on it. So like, hey, like I could get this for a little lower, and potentially pocket more. So that could have been the reason why they try to negotiate. But the reason why I didn't kind of open the negotiation because somebody was already trying to get it for the price that I, you know what I mean? So
you have leverage.
Yeah, but if you're going to get a property under contract and then find an end buyer, you're asking for a whole lot of stress.
Yeah, it's a scary situation.
Yes, it is. It's a very scary situation because you're gonna once the property is underneath contract, the time ticks.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You have
7 day inspection. Yeah, 3 day
exactly.
EMD.
3 day EMD. You have same day inspection, and it's like and from my experience, those agents do not play about the EMD. Right? Yeah, they're calling you almost every day. Hey, is the EMD in? Is the EMD in? Yeah. So. Yeah. So it like I said, everything worked out with this property, and I'm happy.
So did you assign the deal before you had to put an EMD within 3 days? Did you sign it right after so that your cash buyer put in the EMD? Yeah. Perfect. All right. Yeah, that's my favorite thing to do. Yeah. So you didn't have to put any money into the deal at all.
I've had a situation happen before where I was close to putting in an EMD, and the buyer was on the fence. Mm-hmm. Right. And so I was like super close to putting an EMD in, and come to find out that the buyer backed out. Mm-hmm. And had I put that EMD in, I would have lost the money. And so ever since then, I've always tried to be better at judging it. Yeah. Right. Like, of course, vetting the cash buyers, but also judging the situation. Like, hey, like, is this guy serious before I, potentially do this, to buy us some time. And so, yeah, but ever since then, I've always tried to, aim to have the end buyer put in the EMD. That way they have like a little skin in the game, right?
Yeah.
Because if they come in with just verbal, right, they can always back out of that. So
sign the contract. Let's get it done. Let's get it locked in.
Exactly.
So, okay, you signed the assignment. You signed the paperwork. You signed it within 3 days of getting under contract. Another big reason to find your cash buyers first. It's darn near impossible to do that if you get a deal under contract, then start finding cash buyers. Yeah. You're eating into the 72 hours you have to assign it. Right. So, you're following everything step by step. Well, I guess first off, good job with the 30-day close accommodating to the seller's needs. You weren't like, hey, we got to close in 14 days or sooner. You adjusted that. You made them feel comfortable with you. Phenomenal job. Whether that's an on or off market deal, that's what you want to do. Let's talk about how you So we talked about how you found it. Let's talk about how you closed it, like that closing process, because I know some things came up.
The title company that we worked with, I'll keep names out of it, of course. Yeah. But the title company that we worked with, they weren't investor friendly at all, like at all. I kind of got a glimpse of that once. I can't remember exactly what the conversation was, but I ended up talking to the title rep. I was like, hey, I'm going to be putting this in my partner's LLC. Yeah. And something happened within the conversation, and like she thought that I was going to assign it, right? And so, or she got the idea that it was going to get assigned. Yeah. And so then she started raising concerns like, hey, like, she spoke to the agent. He was like, hey, like, is this guy going to make money off of this? Because that's not fair. This money could be going to the seller, right? And so, and this was before I sent in the assignment between me and the cash buyer into escrow, right? Okay. So that it get handled. And that was right before that. Yeah. And so then I remember thinking like, hey, like, I'm not going to send this in because then it's just going to blow everything up. And then she's literally going to have the proof on hand, right? So I tried to get the agent to close escrow with that title company and open it up with another one. But he was like, no, like it's we're already in it. And, I have relationships with them, yada, yada, yada. Yeah. And so I was like, okay, well, I will just, I will aim to take care of this outside of escrow, right? Yeah. The assignment fee. And so then some time went by. And the only thing with that is the good thing I had a relationship with the agent, because if we're taking care of it outside of escrow, you don't really update it on anything. Yeah. Right. And so some time went by and closing day came. Right. And so, I relayed the message to the cash buyer, which I think it was like there was like somebody that sourced his deals for him. Yeah. Can't think of the name off the top of my head. There's a disposition and then there is acquisitions. Yeah. His acquisitions guy I was in contact with. I was like, hey, we're going to take care of this outside of escrow. And so I don't think the message got back to him. Yeah. And so then on closing day, he tried to get it to go through escrow. He tried to get the assignment to go through escrow so everything could just get taken care of there. And so then the title rep saw that and like she blew up, right? Like, we can't do that. I'm not going to do that. That's not fair. The seller could be getting this money, yada, yada, yada. And so basically how it got fixed was, because what ended up happening was the agent was telling me everything. Because again, I was outside of the picture technically because I didn't have that assignment in escrow. Yeah. And so the agent was literally calling and texting me like, hey, this is happening, that's happening. He was like literally giving me up like date to date. And I was like, man, like it's closing day. Like I'm supposed to be getting paid and like it's about to get blown up. And so the agent said he hopped on it was like a four or 5 way call between it was agent, the end buyer, his lender, and like one other person. Yeah. Right. And so basically what ended up happening was the end buyer ended up paying cash for the property. Okay. So he ended up closing it, right, escrow. And then I believe what was told to me is he then went to his lender, got his money back, and then he paid me outside of escrow. Got it. Yeah, and it was a little nerve wracking because I've never met the end buyer, right, face to face, never met him. When they closed escrow, I didn't get the assignment fee on that day because he still had to do some things on his end. So they closed on Friday. I ended up getting paid on Monday. All right, nice. Yeah. So it was a little kind of like it was uneasy because it's your first time doing this. You don't know if he's actually going to hold up his end of the bargain, right? But everything worked out, and I remember when I woke up and I saw because it was a $20K assignment fee, and I remember when I woke up and I saw that like I got emotional. Yeah. Because of everything that I went through to get that, right? Like you say, it's simple, but it's not easy, right? So I just remember just being emotional. Like every time I try to talk about it to somebody, like my parents, like my girl, like I would just get emotional. Like I had to like stop talking. Yeah. Yeah. It was just like, it was just a long time coming for sure.
Man, congratulations. Yeah. Way to make that happen. And thanks for giving us a play-by-play. I think the most important thing is, some of these deals can get shaky and, you were in an area where you had the least practice in, right? You can call agents, fumble through words, you can get deals under contract, cancel them, but getting it across the finish line at the end, there's many deals I've had that are like that too. Like just like it can get a little hairy at the end. We gotta finagle something. We gotta make it work. Yeah. Especially if there's miscommunication between cash buyers and title companies, escrow, or different attorneys. But you didn't falter. I mean, you number one, you identified the right people to work with. I think that's one of the most important things. If you didn't know if you didn't have a serious cash buyer, wasn't willing to make it work, that could have blown it up. A lot of things, if you did a lot of different things, little things differently, this deal could have not happened. Yeah. So,
it's funny. It had me thinking once everything was about to get blown up. I was like, I wonder why the cash buyer I wonder why he decided to save it, because he could have just let it blown up and then just went after it himself. But then I was thinking, well, if it blows up, he's out of the deal also, right? And he won't be able to get it for any less than what I'm selling. So I was like, okay, I guess it makes sense as to why he did what he did to try to save the deal.
Yeah, and any smart cash buyer knows that, hey, you found this deal and you brought him this deal, and the more he pays you, the more deals you're going to bring him. The easier he is to work with. You only have good things to say about him here. You can't say that about the other cash buyers. And so he's probably in that area that you're wholesaling, he's probably going to be your number one go-to guy this next time around until he does something wrong. So I think on that, right before we're talking about being on the other side, being a cash buyer yourself, being a fix and flipper, if you have a wholesaler bringing you a smoking deal, you want to make that guy happy or that girl happy. If he would have went around you, the opportunity cost of that is you not bringing him a deal for the next month, for the next 12 months. And that's a lot of money if you're fixing and flipping. That's $500,000 of profit there.
Yeah. Well, that's true. It's funny because the same deal that led me to this deal, he was buying also.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So the same on-market deal that I got that we had to put on hold because, things with the trust, he was buying that one too. So we got in contract with that deal. He signed, the assignment fee or the assignment contract. I was just going to now switch it over from my name to his name, right, through the agent, through the addendum. Right before I was going to do that, that's when I got a call from the agent. So he was going to buy that deal also, but then he ended up buying this deal. So, yeah. So that one's actually supposed to be ready this month, if not next month.
So you have that one in the pipe, and then also you have another one that might be a fix and flip too.
Yeah.
That you're working on too.
Yeah, they're aiming to purchase it as a fix and flip. I'm excited about that one, honestly, because I'm excited to dive deeper into the real estate investing. Yeah, and the mind of a quote unquote cash buyer.
Yeah, we'll show you how the sausage is made. We'll dive deep into that. Yeah. We'll talk about that after too. Yeah, on the lending side, the fix and flip side, the operations management. So, I mean, good job, right? We talked about beforehand too. You don't want all your eggs in one basket necessarily, and you've got a couple other eggs, right? You got another wholesale deal you're working on, another fix and flip deal. My favorite space to be in is when you're wholesaling 1 to 3 deals a month. You got that good cash flow, and then you're fixing and flipping one deal maybe every quarter. And that's a great business. That's a great entrepreneurial business right there. You're living a very good life because of this consistency. So you're doing a great job, and I'm super proud of you. Dude, yeah. A lot of people watch YouTube. A lot of people talk about being a real estate investor. Not a lot of people actually do what it takes to make it happen. So, yeah, pat yourself on the back for that.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, it's been quite the journey for sure.
So with, I guess as we're getting towards the end of this, I mean, what's is there one main thing you learned from this? Is there one valuable lesson from maybe this deal or going through the program that sticks out the most, or something now that maybe would have helped you in the beginning?
Something that would have made it a little easier is understanding that every no, you hear it, but it's one thing to hear something, but it's another thing to understand it. Yeah. Right. Every no that you get is closer to a yes. Right. There were days where I was sending offers, getting doors slammed in my face and stuff, and I felt as if nothing was happening. Felt like nothing was gonna happen. Felt like I wasn't progressing, but all along I was just learning, right? And at the same time I was building that grit, right? The hardest thing we talked about before is you get doors slammed in your face every single day or whatever the case is, but you still got to show up. Yeah. Right. That's the hardest thing. So I think one thing that I know now that would have made it a little easier is understanding that that's part of the process. Yeah. Right. Yeah. That's all part of it.
And it's one of those things. I mean, you could have told yourself that too, but you got to experience
Exactly.
it. You know, you got to experience
exactly.
it.
Because it's one thing. It's one thing to hear it and you're like, oh, okay, yeah. But then it's another thing to experience it and to actually like be in it. You know. So.
Awesome, man. I guess lastly, I mean, we talked about the deal. You talked about the experience of getting $20,000 wired to you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, makes you a bit emotional. I remember my first deal, right around there, $20,000. I guess at this point, you know, there's probably gonna be a lot of people watching this that are students, but also a lot of people that are thinking about getting into wholesaling. A lot of people that maybe be thinking about joining our community into the program. Anything to say to people that are maybe on the fence, or whether they enroll in this program or on the fence about wholesaling? Anything to say to them?
If you're thinking about doing it, do it. That's number one. There's a quote that I've heard in the past that it didn't really resonate until up until recently, and I'm sure you heard it. It's he who says he can and he who says he can't is usually both right. Yeah. The first property I got under contract, I had to cancel it because I got out of too high of a price, and it literally felt like a heartbreak. Right, it felt like I remember sitting in bed and I was just like laying there like, oh, this is the end of the road, and it goes back to what I talked about, like that door closes, but you still got to show up the next day, right? The second deal I got underneath contract, it was a nightmare. Like from the time I got underneath contract until it blew up, it was an absolute nightmare. I went through that for like 2-3 weeks, and every day I was putting out fires, every single day, right? And what happened with that one was, I was one signature away and 1 week away from closing that one. The buyer backed out. I remember I was in the gym, right? I get a text from the buyer, I'm backing out, right? Long story short, he told me he was backing out, and I felt gutted, right? I didn't even finish my workout. I went home, right? Yeah. Terrible. But again, had to show up the next day, right? And of course, there was some in between. Another one that stood out to me too, there was two. There was one in the Bay Area that I got underneath contract for this guy that I met at a re-event. He ended up not wanting it because he was scared of the market, right? He didn't know, like it was uncertain, so I had to cancel that one. Of course, I tried to find other buyers, and they always try to negotiate, and it didn't work out. So I had canceled it, and that agent told me that she was gonna basically ruin my name, basically tell everybody not to accept the deal for me, right? And hearing that without even, you're still learning, you haven't closed the deal yet, right? I felt terrible, right? Yeah. Still had to show up the next day, right? One after that one, if you follow me here, the second one I got underneath contract where the buyer backed out, I tried to go back and grab it because it was still in the market, right? And so I had an agreement with the agent. Again, it was a whole nightmare, even canceling it. The end buyer wasn't cooperative. They were telling him that he needed to sign. He didn't want to sign. So they were telling me like, hey, isn't this your friend? I'm like, I don't even know this guy, but you guys don't know that. And so, so I went back and tried to grab that one. I basically was upfront with the agent. I was like, hey, like, I understand this is still in the market. I can help bring a buyer for you guys. Like, if that, that is the least I can do, given like what happened, right? And I didn't even want anything crazy for it. I was just going to help them find it, of course, for a little small fee. Yeah. And so I ended up reaching out to a buyer that I found on Google, and he basically told me that he didn't agree with the numbers, and he didn't agree with the numbers. And so then I found out that he went around me. Oh. He went around me and got the property. And so then I confronted him about it, and he basically said that, what I was doing was illegal, yada, yada, yada. And so that happened, right? Still haven't completed my first deal, but I still had to show up the next day. Yeah. And so my thing is, I say all that to say is mindset is the absolute most important thing when it comes to not only this, but anything that you do that you're going to face resistance, right? Yeah. He who says he can and he who says he can't is usually both right? If you say you can't do something, then chances are you're not going to be able to do it. Yeah. Right. But if you tell yourself that I'm going to make this happen, then it's going to happen. 100%. Right. You can only lose if you give up.
100%. Yeah. And that adversity, got you to this deal, making $20,000. And that adversity you just shared with me, 99% of people aren't willing to go through that to get a deal. Yeah. They aren't. 99% of people would have stopped on the first one, then that rest 0.1% would have stopped on the next one. How many deals do you have to cancel before, how many contracts to cancel before that first deal?
Like 4 or 5.
Okay, cool. Yeah, one thing we were talking about earlier too, I think the most successful investors cancel the most contracts. Yeah. So, when you can celebrate a cancellation, that's the way I always look at it. It just means you're doing your job. You're moving stuff forward. And then, the plus side on all those deals was it seems like you started to weed out some cash buyers.
Yeah. Right. So one thing I actually wanted to touch on this. Yeah.
Your cash buyers, you found these 3 from these deal cancellations. Kind of weed
out. So I actually want to touch on this. I'm glad you brought it up. I try to vet my cash buyers as much as I can. Sometimes you don't really know someone's intentions or know them until there are some resistance involved, like they're put underneath the spotlight. Right? They could say that, oh, I'm this and that, and send me this, and I can do this and that. But then when you actually bring it, then that's when, it's game time. And so one thing I've been trying to add to my vetting is communication. Right? Of course, with everything that happened, them backing out, like obviously that X's them out. Yeah. But another thing I'm trying to, incorporate with vetting them is in communication. Mm-hmm. Right? Ones where you send them a deal and they don't respond. Or, they say, oh, like, you'll text me like, hey, like, are you interested in a deal? Like, are you, and so they'll look at it and then they just won't respond. Yep. Right. And it's like, and then you text them like, hey, like, what do you think? They still don't respond. It's like, okay, like, that's a red flag. Yep. Right. Because because my thing is, it's like, if I'm here working hard on my behalf, yep. I'm trying to give you, business, and then you're not responding, when I get a killer deal, I'm not going to want to give it to you. I'd rather give it to somebody who has that open communication with me. Yeah. So that's my biggest thing. And I think that would be like my biggest like advice, so to say, with like cash buyers is like just try to be like more communicative, that's even a word, but like, just try to communicate more, right? Even if it doesn't work out, like tell them like, hey, like this doesn't work out for this, and that. Like but if they're like constantly like sending you deals that don't work out and you keep telling them, okay, so I get it, like, go somewhere, whatever. But if you can see they're trying, right, and they're like just a little off or whatever, it's like, try to give them that feedback, but it's a lot of vetting on my end. That's good. You got to do that. And that's huge. And we talk about that a bit in the program, like communication. I'm going to work with a cash buyer that actually communicates to me, mm-hmm. even if maybe this other cash buyer would have came in at a higher price, but like mm-hmm. he may buy 100 houses a year, but if I can't talk to anyone in the darn company, we got a deal to close in 72 hours. We got to, and $15,000 at that point is better than zero. So you've been able to see that. And then, these cash buyers you're working with on these deals, you're working together to close the deal at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why in our program we actually call them financing partners, mm-hmm. Just a little slight distinction. But that communication is so key when we're closing these deals, and be willing to communicate. Maybe, for this deal, that cash buyer hopped on the conference call with 5 different people involved in the deal. You got to be willing to do that. Mm-hmm. Whether you're wholesaling too, you have to be willing to do that to close deals too on your side too. Like you would have done that. I know you would have done that if you had to do that to close this deal too, right? Sure. So it's nice when your cash buyers have your back too. Mm-hmm. And you're so right. You don't know someone's true colors until there's some adversity or they have to show up for you. They have to show up in some capacity. So I think this cash buyer showed up in a good capacity for you. And, I know that I don't work with thousands of cash buyers. It's the ones that are communicative, and I have a handful of cash buyers that I've closed on 80% of my deals, and I generally go back to them all the time. Mm-hmm. And sure, I could fight and try and make $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 more per deal over time. But if I have a cash buyer that's going to close all day, every single day, it's sometimes just easier and actually a higher likelihood of getting the deal closed working with them. Yeah, it's too big of a gamble to not do it that way. Yeah. Right? To try to squeeze out all the profit and then try to, go after somebody that you have no type of, history with. Yeah. It's too big of a gamble for sure. Because like you said, time ticks. Once you get under the contract, time ticks. So time can make all deals happen and kill all deals. That's always what we say. Well, good, man. I mean, we nailed it. I think we covered everything about this deal, the ins and outs. Your biggest thing for someone getting started was just do it. And he who thinks he can and he who thinks he can't is usually right. All right. So I believe that too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, good stuff, man. Robert, thanks for coming in. Any last words? Anything else? No. No. I think I've said everything I had to say. All right, man. All right. Well, thank you. We'll wrap it up there. Congrats. Thanks, man.